I just walk in the argument to one-way, why you mad? Girl, why you a sick? I do not want that. Came home to you only, you stuck like glue. If I caught that Hellcat, girl, you get one too. For me and you, I want you, I love you. Can I touch you? I rub, let me love you. Put my dreams to the side only cause I trust you. Girl, I trust you, I love you, won't judge you.
What's going on? Welcome back, Sevelassi here. Coming back for the NBA playoffs as my friend here holds up the worst NBA team in the league's jersey. Yes, Dwayne Wade. Only good Heat player to ever exist. No worries about it, except for my man Shaq. Anyway, as everyone knows, they're playing the best Knicks in the league. We are the 5 seed, but should be the 1 seed. Speaking of which, a little bit of a chain reaction. Sean's team decided to get Mike Budenholzer fired. So, the Bucks coach is gone. See who they hire. I've heard that Giannis has a lot of adoration for Mr. Darvin Ham over on the Lakers. So, we'll see if they can get a hire similar to him, or if Giannis will even extend his contract in a year or two. But we are here for one series to talk about, and one series only. And that is the absolute greatest team in the NBA against one of the good teams in the NBA today, the Miami Heat. So, as everyone knows, the New York Knicks are tied 1-1. They were without their hero, their all-star, their arguably best player, top 4 power forward in the league, Julius Randle. What can you do? And then Jimmy takes a game off, and now we're going almost into full strength tonight. Or not tonight, tomorrow night. So,
Saturday.
Saturday. No Tyler Herro either, so that's still a thing. But we're moving on. It's been a good series. I think that both teams have thrown good strengths both ways. But before I even say anything, why don't you introduce yourself and the floor is yours.
Going on, everyone. The boys are back, and as pretty much articulated, he's a day one New York Knicks fan. I'm a day one Miami Heat fan. And since the day we have started our show, Velocity, we have been begging for this matchup. I think I've been begging for it more than Evan to see this New York Knicks versus Miami in the playoffs. For one, we can't put out better content than this. Our two teams go again. This is supposed to be a debate show. Like, can you think anything sweeter than this F? Like, on. And now I'm going to be completely objective here. So this is the nicest thing you're ever going to hear me say about those good-for-nothing expletive Knicks. I truly believe right now this could potentially be the best series to watch in the whole NBA playoffs. I think the matchups between the two teams is balanced. I think this could go 7 games. I think it could go down to the wire. Like, I really think it's going to be a very strong competition to watch from either side. And I'll admit, the Knicks have impressed me this year. I mean, but you come out the first round and they act like they already need to have a parade down in Madison Square Garden, New York City. But
We
sorry.
sent the
That's why I
hometown
can't.
Spider-Man back to Cleveland.
That's you see, that's why I can't stand the Knicks. Mind you, now other Miami, we weren't supposed to be here. We got knocked out. We lost the game in the play-in,
Hey, we were the 5 seed.
and then we ended up becoming 8 seed. But going into that Bucks series, that was the matchup I did not want to see at all. 'Cause I've said it year after year after year. The Milwaukee Bucks are by far the Miami Heat's worst matchup. But guess what happened? Jimmy Butler, Jimmy Bucket he turned into Batman. Rolled up in Milwaukee, Gotham City, the Dark Knight, and as Evan said, he got the Milwaukee Bucks fired. Because I think Evan could agree. Anyone who knows basketball, this including myself, who was rooting for the Heat, I'm still sitting here wondering, how did the Bucks really lose that whole series? Because even after when we were up 3-1, to be honest, I still was not feeling confident in my Heat. Like you could ask, as I've said it, we need to win tonight. We need to do it now. We can't let it go further because I know what they have. All I'm gonna say is to for all of you out there throwing shade on Giannis for his free throws, that's not the only reason they lost the series. Giannis was the best player in the whole series. Like I'll still give that to him. But now on to the Knicks. Game one, and now this is funny. Ev said something completely ridiculous. That's not when he said that Julius Randle is arguably the best player on New York Knicks. But everybody knows that from the moment Jalen Brunson
The
put his pen to paper
Batman!
and signed a contract there on the New York Knicks, but he is the man on that team. Evan himself knows it. Julius Randle himself knows it. Everyone knows it. He honestly. Remind me, was he in the All Star game this year or no?
No.
Yeah, he's an All Star caliber point guard. He's an All Star caliber. He proved it last year in the playoff when Luka Doncic was out, and he held it down for the Dallas Mavericks. And he's continued like that high level of play right now in New York City. So kudos to him. Julius Randle, oh man, but talk about polarizing, salt and pepper,
He
the
is
sugar
a
and
night and
spice.
day player.
If I'll admit, the last game he had a great game. His rebounding, his presence in the paint, it was tremendous. It helped the Knicks a lot. However, remind me of this, Ev. Who was it that in one of those games against the Cleveland Cavaliers, who got benched that Knicks could go come back to win the game? I believe that was Mr. Randall. He could be a big reason why you guys win the series, but I believe he'll be the reason why you guys lose the series too.
It's
Neither
listen.
here nor there.
It's just
When Jimmy Buckets comes back, because keep in mind we haven't had an epic Jimmy game in this series yet either, even though we won game one. And first of all, you guys only won by 5 points in game two without Jimmy or Hero or any of these guys. Shout out to Gabe Vincent, Maxu, Caleb Martin, you guys. It's Spoelstra, best coach in the NBA for holding it down and keeping the game competitive, even though I still feel like you guys should have won that, but oh well. Bam, Bam Adebayo, I expect you to straight up lock up Julius Randle. It's going to happen. He's not going to have a repeat performance of the previous game, as you know it and I know it. We're taking this series in 6 or 7 games. Carry the hell on.
there's so much to just
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
boils
Floor
me
is
up
yours.
inside.
Put it all out there right now. This is your
First,
moment. Now let that
all right,
shield.
listen. I'm not
Mm-hmm.
saying Jimmy Butler and Julius Randle are the same caliber, but the Heat didn't win by 20 plus either in Game One without Julius Randle on the floor.
Yeah, guess what? He was on the floor. He was on the floor. You guys would have lost by 20 something
No,
plus.
no.
That's the difference. That's the difference.
So, with both Jimmy and Julius back on the floor at the same time for the first time in this series, I'm not worried. I think that both the Knicks and the Heat have their own things that they do really well. I think the Heat, for example, thrive especially with their mid-range game, but I think the big Knicks strength is their rebounding, especially against the Heat. I think the Heat, no disrespect to the Heat, top 10 team in the NBA. You could probably even go top 7 maybe. But the Heat's
Out of
big.
nowhere in the playoffs. That's what's funny. Out of
Yeah.
nowhere in the playoffs.
But the
With
thing with the
Clutch.
Heat is they're easily the weakest in the rebounding category. So
We have a bunch of tiny mons out there.
And that's one of the Knicks' biggest strengths. So I think the Knicks are going to just have to keep honing in on getting offensive rebounds, getting shots back out to the perimeter, especially. So yeah, offensive rebounds especially so we can get more shots off, and then we have to keep boxing out and getting defense rebounds, or else we're going to get killed in this series because we're not winning in the mid-range category. So the only way to make up for that is to make sure we get every rebound possible. With that, I think that Mitchell Robinson's been excellent. I think that anyone who's watched him play in the playoffs knows that he's arguably been a top 3 to 4 rebounding center. Not saying top 3 to 4 center in general, but top 3 to 4 rebounding center in the playoffs behind Jokic and Embiid. He went in there alone last series against Cleveland with both Jared Allen and Evan Mobley on the court at the same time, as well as Darius Garland and Donovan Mitchell crashing the boards because they both tried to get 5+ rebounds a game, and still managed to go and get, I think, 20 rebounds in one of the games. Most rebounds in a playoff series this year. So he's going to have to keep doing that. But more importantly, we need guys like RJ Barrett to continue to crash the boards. He gets anywhere from 5 to 8 rebounds a game. As long as we can get him closer to that 8, and then we can get Josh Hart to continue rebounding. And we need to see more from Emmanuel quickly, I think, off the bench, because he had a few 40-point, I think he had one 50-point game and a few 30-point games in the season. Need to see more from him coming off the bench. Need RJ Barrett to be more consistent. He had a really good last game. I think that game 1 though he did pretty rough. We gotta stay consistent. Consistency is the biggest thing with the Knicks. I mean, Jalen Brunson too started the one game against the Heat 2 of 10, and then finished 10 of 19. So he made 8 of his next 9 shots. Started to clutch up, and he scored 30, but he had 9 in the first first 3 quarters almost. So, and then he started to show up. So we just got to maintain the consistency. Maybe let Derrick Rose see the floor a bit in some of the crucial situations. He's a veteran too. And just utilize the big men on the floor. Get the ball to Jalen Brunson on the offensive side, and make sure that respectfully for the Heat, Bam suffers as much as possible down low. We want to make his life hell down there.
Listen, I'm sorry, but after Bam got through the Milwaukee Bucks, you think he's scared, worried about any other team on the rebounding battle at this point? By comparison, I think he's Gucci right now.
I
And on top of that, not even just fighting on the glass for the rebound, just like the physicality of scoring down low. The Bucks and the Knicks are 2 different animals. Bam is good, and oh man, all I'm gonna tell you, Ev, is this: you better, I don't know, shoot an email, something to Coach Tibbs. Um, don't make the same mistake Mike Budenholzer made. You might want to throw double team that Jimmy Butler. I'm just saying.
Listen,
Especially considering Tyler Hero's not there, like our second scorer. You really might want, and Victor Oladipo, you really might want to put doubles on him. That doesn't mean giving you friendly advice. I mean, regardless, I know Jimmy's gonna go get his. He's just gonna destroy you guys, destroy you.
But that's the thing. I think this was the issue that both the Suns and the Bucks had in their final series a while ago, and I think that's something that Thibodeau is very indecisive or 50-50 on. You could do one of 2 things when it comes to a star like that. You can let him. The Bucks did it really well against, or no, the Nets. The Bucks did it really well against the Nets in the first round of the playoffs last year, where it was just, or 2 years ago. You just let the star player score as many points as he wants, but you make sure that every one of those other 4 players on the court does not touch the ball for the remainder of the game. Or if they do, it is with a ton of pressure. So sure, Jimmy can go get his 40, but you're going to make sure that damn well near any other player on that court is going to barely score, and it's going to be really rough for them. Or you could double down on Jimmy and put 2 on him, and then you're probably going to find some sort of gap, whether it's Struss or Kyle Lowry being open from 3 because of some sort of shift. And we could see another potential 30-point game from Lowry, which we saw in Game 1, which I I don't know. That's very 50-50. I understand wanting to guard the star player the most, but I've seen a lot of times too where coaches decide to let that star player cook, and it usually can still get them a close game.
But let me ask you this: if majority of those times when Jimmy does have those 40 points, is it just a 40 plus point game? I think from what I remember in the playoffs, normally
No, no, it's
whenever we
not.
see him hit the 40 mark, he's got like 8 rebounds and 8 assists
Yeah.
to go with it too.
The thing is, I think Thibodeau is gonna do what he. I think Thibodeau knows what he wants to do already, and he's gonna probably stick with it for the whole series. You got to remember he had Jimmy as his player, and he was Thibodeau's coach for on the Timberwolves and the Bulls. So I think that he'll probably have a few things that he feels like is gonna work, but all I hope is that we don't ride and die on one strategy that doesn't work. You know, if we start to get cooked, let's switch it up, try something different.
Yeah. I was gonna say,
But
that's the thing. That's the thing with the Heat, though. To be honest, that's the biggest strength, specifically on the defensive end. Spoelstra, I'm convinced every other play he's changing up the strategy. That's why
right,
they're always out there competitive. Because, I mean, let's be real. We don't necessarily, in terms of like defensive talent or like size, the bodies, the Heat. You look at us on paper. I'll straight up say it. Outside of guys like Jimmy and Bam on the defensive end, you guys look at us like a plate of food. Like, am I
yeah.
lying? You would think we're a plate of food, but they have a good defensive scheming to not like have any player like get abused. Like they rotate well, even on the rebounding, even the guards. Everybody's boxing out. Like they play with so much hustle, and then Jimmy leads the charge because this is what sets Jimmy apart from like most of the other number one options in the league. You see these other guys who are offensive forces. Um, you notice when they have their best games, it's usually we see the high point totals, the high usage rate offensively, but they take breaks defensively. And I'm even throwing my man LeBron out there. He definitely does do that. But Jamie, whether he's having a great game or if he's having a terrible game, which oftentimes does get overlooked scoring wise, he's always out there hustling or rebounding defense. He never lets up
Well,
defensively.
I
So I'm
was
saying that even if he's not necessarily scoring a lot, he's still going to be having tremendous impact out there.
I was gonna add that when you see Damian Lillard score 50 versus when you see Jimmy Butler score 50, one looks a lot more tired than the other for a reason, because one's playing
Exactly.
both sides of the ball
Yep.
very well. Um, I wanted to throw out there that the Heat are the number two defensive team in the league during the season in terms of points against. So that that is that is something that the Knicks need to be careful for, because it's not just their offense that does well. It's the
But
Heat
keep
that
this
are.
in mind. This year, I'm pretty sure the Heat of all teams in the league averaged the least total points per game. They were the lowest scoring team this year, I think.
So you know who is number one in defensive stats this year?
The Knicks.
The Cavs. So
Whew. Well, Evan Mobley did lock down Julius Randle.
so theoretically speaking, only solely off stats. I'm not saying it's accurate. The Knicks have already faced the worst defensive team so far in the playoffs. That's so. I mean, treat the Heat well. The Knicks were 13th, by the way, which is kind of a surprise to me. They were in the top five for a while, but if you're going off
Hmm.
of sole point differential, Cleveland was number two actually. Still, Boston was number one. Miami was 21st. So they had a lot of close games, and then the Knicks, I believe, actually Knicks were seventh, which is a bit of a surprise. 2.5 point differential. 2.9 point differential. The Heat averaged a negative zero point 0.3 differential, but that's just because all their games were extremely close. I don't know. It seems like the first game with Jimmy that he was playing, the Knicks put a lot of effort into guarding him. He scored 25, but it seemed like they kind of relieved as much pressure as they could from him dealing 50 points, and just killing us.
Jimmy doesn't do that stuff in a game one.
Yeah, I don't
Just
know.
the mo-
I think the Knicks are going to guard Jimmy Butler a lot better than the Bucks did. But I'm not saying that Jimmy's going to do worse or better, but I think the Knicks will do a lot better of a job at least guarding him.
all I know
So
is you guys, all you Knicks fans, you guys better have the same mindset as Stephen A. Smith. Stephen A. Smith, he had the Knicks beating the Heat. But he said Jimmy Butler scares the living crap out of him. He made the analogy Batman coming to Gotham trying to snatch at the Dark Knight vigilante trying to murder the New York season, New York fan base, trying to snatch their hearts and put them all in the whole city in a state of depression. I
I
don't know.
all I'm happy about is that it's not Trey Young that's playing like that. Because if it was Trey Young that was playing like that, if you had to face him again and have him, do all these antics in the garden, bow, all of this, that's pretty rough. Jimmy's
I'm
not
also
Jimmy's not that flashy, and I have as much as I don't want to lose to Jimmy. At least when I lose to him, I feel pretty good because I know that he put 300% on the court, and that's all you can ask from someone.
I also gotta kind of put this out there. Since we've already beaten our kryptonite, the Milwaukee Bucks, who before the playoffs came, I had them as the favorites to go to the NBA Finals, to be honest. But we beat our kryptonite, so you're gonna hear me say it right here, right now. The Miami Heat will be representing the Eastern Conference in the NBA Finals. Yup, you heard me say it.
It's so hard. It's so hard to put my headphones back on.
Put them on. Because guess what? If I could hear like Knicks fans say the Knicks are going to the finals, I don't see why not. Because you know what's funny? I've heard Knicks fans say it too, and they had the same rationale as me. You know who they were scared of most of facing? The Milwaukee Bucks.
I want the Knicks to go all the way, and I will. Since this is the furthest they've been in a long time, I will throw forward my hopes and dreams that they will go all the way. However, if I'm going logistically speaking, I don't think anyone has any chance against Boston in a 7-game series. And I am aware of what Mr. Harden did in game one, but you add back your MVP center or likely MVP center, and then you lose by 30. That's a little bit concerning. I'm not saying it's
It
anything the
is.
Sixers did. I don't think it's anything they did necessarily. I think it was more Boston being pissed off. So
Yeah.
I think
But
Boston's going to only elevate that, and I think going into a series against, if it was against Miami, hypothetically speaking, if they were to go against Miami, I think Jimmy is better than both Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, but he cannot make up for both of them.
hey, but guess what? I can bet you this. I can bet you those Celtics do not want to see us. Because I want.
You're
Do you
right.
really think? Do you really think they thought their series against us was going to be as tough as it was going to be last year? I
No,
really don't think they
no.
did. And Tyler Hero didn't play that last game either.
I
So
mean,
I want them. I want you, Boston. I want you guys.
the thing is, ironically enough, when you come to these four teams left in the East, I think that Boston and Philadelphia are two of the best offensive teams in the NBA. Probably the two best
Hmm.
offensive teams in the East if you don't include the Bucks entirely.
Yeah.
And then I would put the Knicks and the Heat as the two best defensive teams in the East. So now you have the two best defensive teams going against each other and the two offensive teams going against each other, at least for the East specifically. And now you're going to, I don't know, one of them's going to face the other, so it should be a pretty good series either way, defense versus offense. But listen,
My
Julia, the Knicks have actually played decent against Boston this year. I don't think we're necessarily better than Boston, but I think that we could probably take the series to at least 6, and then it would be pretty interesting. But I don't know. This has been like if okay, Knicks versus Celtics during a regular season. This year they've played 3 times against each other, and the Knicks won all 3 times. Just saying, we're here.
all I gotta say, New York stand down, Heat Nation all the way.
New York versus Boston. It doesn't get any better than that.
This
Rivalry.
isn't this isn't baseball.
No, that's okay though. The Jets and the
No,
Patriots hate each other. The Bruins and the Rangers hate each other. The Knicks and the Celtics hate each other. Red Sox
no,
and the
I'm not.
Yankees hate each other.
Actually, no. The Knicks hate the Celtics. But the Celtics, they don't even care about the Knicks. You're getting that wrong. The Heat and Knicks hate each other. Remember the PJ Brown fight with I forgot who in New York, and I think Jeff Van Gundy got hit in the face. Um,
Listen, the Knicks
that's
and
a
the Heat have
rivalry.
had a lot of interesting interactions, and in the
Mhm.
last 15 years, particularly in the playoffs too, when it comes to the Knicks, our power forwards get a little bit emotional in the playoffs when we make it. So we had one almost walk off the court against the Cavs in the first series, and then against the Heat a couple years back or whatever 10 years back, we had Amari
Uh,
Stoudemire punch the glass and break his hand. So that was lovely.
that's what happened when you end up on the court against the GOAT.
I watched that live and I was like, oh, series is over. So I think that the Knicks are going to win in six. We're going to close it out. We're going to win the next three straight. No, I'm sorry. We're going to win the next two in Miami. We're gonna win the next two in Miami. We might lose one at home, and then we're sending Miami home in Miami. We just want to be appreciative of the team, and we want to be respectful. We don't want to give you guys a long flight home. Just a short drive, a couple miles back to the house.
I love it. We're gonna have such great content coming up.
It's gonna be a good time. I think that the Knicks will be just fine. We'll be great, and
I think it's fair enough to say both teams, they've already both respectively exceeded expectations this
they
season.
absolutely did. Well, listen, when when we talked about the Knicks and Heat, the Knicks we kind of called a borderline play-in team, right? Because no one thought
Yeah,
Brunson was going to be as good as he was,
yeah.
and to
Wait,
me,
wait. I didn't say. I just didn't think they were gonna elevate the Knicks as much.
to me, the Heat have made the finals in the last couple of years, and the
Yeah,
Heat haven't gotten really worse in that category. So I almost pictured them to be a top 4 to 5 seed anyway. So they kind of went below my expectations for the season, but exceeded them in the
I,
playoffs.
yeah. I meant exceeded expectations, like going into the playoff based off of how we saw them play this season. That's
Yeah.
what I meant.
Okay.
Yeah, like I'm just me. I'm disappointed. Like we fell down to what the 8 seed after being the 1 seed
I
last
was saying
year.
because you guys are better than the Raptors and everyone else that was even in the play-in conversation.
Yeah.
Um, do you have anything you wanted to add about the series though?
Not yet.
All
You
right.
guys, you're gonna have some great content coming up.
So what's your final
Hey,
prediction?
Miami in the NBA Finals.
And how many games for Miami to beat the Knicks?
I'm gonna say I think it's gonna go to. I think it'll go to a game 7 actually. I don't want to. I was gonna say 6 or 7, but like we hear people saying 6 or 7 too much. I'm gonna give a definitive answer. There's no caveats. Game 7. I think it'll be 7. That's the most respect I'll give you guys.
Don't worry, I'll
Like I,
go.
I kind of want it to go to Game 7 actually, just in terms of like the entertainment factor. It'll be more exciting.
I'll be as respectful as possible. Knicks in five.
Yeah, we know
No,
you're not capable of winning 3 straight.
we'll go Knicks in six, and I think the Knicks win one in Miami, lose one in Miami, and close it out in or no, 31-1. Sorry, win two in Miami. No, win one in Miami, lose one in Miami, win one back in New York, and then win the last one, Game Six in Miami. We'll see though. What does make me happy is knowing Game Seven is in New York if it comes down to it.
It's getting hot in here.
So without further ado, hope you all enjoy the series. Go Knicks. Don't listen to him. I don't know where my jersey went, but I would like to lift it up in the air right now, and I can't.
He burned it. He burned it. He couldn't take the heat.
Yeah.
That's what we
Well,
do.
listen, if the Knicks win, I'm going to make sure I'm going to cast some sort of spell so that Ben Simmons goes to the Heat.
Who? Oh, who that was?
So go Knicks. Hope everyone has a great week and watches this excellent series for the orange and blue. Have a good rest of your day, and we will see you next time.
To me and you, I want you, I love you. Can I touch you, I rub, let me love you. Put my dreams to the side only cause I trust you. Girl, I trust you, I love you, won't judge you.